Hi, I'm Michael Chua, and you're watching the Chua Channel. Today, we are going to 111 Minna Street, which is a gallery slash bar, in order to see a show put on by a well-known photographer and friend of the channel, Gooch. He is a photographer that specializes primarily in taking photos of queer events and things on the street. And he will be walking us through his gallery showing. And I hope you enjoy. Let's take a look. How about you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi everybody, my name is Gooch. I'm English, if you can't tell. I moved to San Francisco 13 years ago from London. The best thing I ever did. I found my tribe, I found my groove. Somewhere around 9 years ago, I stumbled into a little bar in the Castro called the Edge Bar on a just pure fluke that it happened to be a Thursday night, and I walked into a show called The Monster Show. It's a little tiny drag show in a packed bar on a Thursday night. I took some photos on my iPhone, they were horrible. Went back the next week and took my camera and took some decent photos and then put them out on Facebook. Went back for the third week, and the queen that ran the show at the time, Cookie Dough, approached me with a very severe look on her face. I thought I was in deep trouble. She was just delighted that I'd actually taken the time and documented her little drag show, and offered me a spot every week without salary. But I got 2 free drinks tickets, and I could sit on the bar and shoot the show. So that was the beginning of what you see now. It just set me on this path non-stop, really, almost, I'd say for about 9 years, I think now, documenting my LGBT community, entertainment shows, and also queer politics.
What could you say about this particular show? It's called Revamp, I believe?
It's called Revamp. It's called Revamp for a reason, because the show was originally called Smoke and Mirrors, and it debuted in 2018. It was a great success. There were some pieces left. As we know, in San Francisco, not everybody has huge amounts of wall space, and I'm still waiting for those rich tech kids with their huge lofts and huge wall space to buy all my work. So what happens, Michelle, who is the curator here, one of the owners and curator of 111 Minna Gallery, reached out to me a good few months ago and offered me a show. Which is basically one of my life dreams, to have a show at 111 Minna. It's one of my favorite galleries. It's very prestigious. Been running since 1993, I believe. She also then said, we don't want you spending money on creating a new show for us. What do you have? I said, well, I have this show called Smoke and Mirrors, so why don't we revamp it? And that was the name of the show.
Let's look at some of your artwork.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about these pieces behind us?
So these are two, just by chance, just happen to be 2 RuPaul girls. I'm very lucky to shoot the RuPaul girls when they're in town. Normally at a club night called Big Top Sundays at Bow. I'm the resident photographer there. I have been for about 7 years now. But also my work is nearly always in situ. Some of them look like studio portraits, but they're actually not. They're shot in situ in the middle of a crazy loud, busy bar with sweaty people and drunk people. But I tend just to try and isolate what's going on and create these beautiful portraits. Some of them here we have Shangela on the right. Shangela was getting made up upstairs at the Castro Theatre for a show with Peaches Christ. I just was chatting to her and said, can we do some portraits? And this is what happened, so.
They look beautiful. It really does look like they are in a studio.
yeah, thank you. I'm walking through the main room. It's a series of portraits and just funny happenings and things that I've set up, but again, mostly in situation. We have here Morgan McMichaels, another RuPaul girl, just giving me a few moments just to take that, and there's something very magical about that for me. The polish, the detail of her outfit, her makeup, her nails, everything. And she's also very nice. Nearly everybody I work with is lovely. Often you'll find the most talented people are the most lovely. They don't have those funny insecurities that less talented people seem to have. Next we have, this is one of the evenings actually outside the Monster Show that I was just talking about. At the end of the show, I created this thing I named the Falling Down photos. The reason why they became known as the Falling Down photos is because it was created by a very famous local San Francisco queen called U-Phoria. His boy name is Peter Griggs. Also with Casa. And they were just fooling around before the show started. They were actually not even in face. And every time they touched each other, one of them would fall down and scream. And it was just so ridiculous. And so I photographed one of them on the floor with the other one sort of pointing. And that was the very first photo. And then from that, I created, well, it evolved into these Renaissance paintings. So I'd research a Renaissance painting for that week and then recreate it with the people who'd been in the show. And at the end of one of these Renaissance paintings, one of the regulars at the time, this is Terri Waffle, Terri had seen this abandoned cart in the curb, and this show had been about toys. So there were all these toys everywhere, stuffing. So we recreated this. It's kind of in the image of Banksy. Banksy, this very famous image of somebody in a cart like this, a shopping cart. So, and Terri's completely nuts in a good way. And then next one is, this was taken at Folsom Street Fair about five or 6 years ago. Backstage, this is Violet Chachki and Boomer Banks, both of them famous in their own fields. And I saw them, they were just hanging out, chatting, and I was chatting with them, and I asked if I could turn them into this show pony, with Boomer being the sort of the circus leader. And they loved it. Next one is taken outside the stud bar, the old stud bar now, which is now gone, which was on 9th and Harrison. This is a local queen called Abominatrix, totally phenomenal person, never looks the same twice. I saw the dumper truck, which is part of the construction crew. This, by the way, is like midnight, 1 in the morning or something, and I asked the bomber to get into it, and it sort of looks like she's just driven up in a spacecraft.
I love how you're putting together what's in the space already and just coming up with these really creative tableaus, I'd say.
Absolutely. I'm constantly looking around, just trying to think of something new, and with the stud, the old stud, the walls were primarily Yves Saint Laurent blue. It's like a color that he painted his house in, I think it was in Morocco or somewhere. When you used the flash and lit it at night, it was ultra blue. So I found a space without too much graffiti or too many plants in front of it at the side street of Stud. And over the years, I would put people in front of the blue, and I created a series of triptychs, so to have them looking one way, straight on that way. So I have hundreds of these local queens as triptychs, just using a very simple thing, which was the blue background. So always looking for something that's around that is a little bit more interesting. This is, she's now moved to, or he has, his name's Christopher. She has now moved to New York. Performance name is Lachrymose. This was at an evening here in San Francisco. Just incredible makeup and tattoos, and the best I had was this wood paneling, so that's what happened. This one's taken not long after the SF Oasis, the nightclub, gay cabaret club, opened. And this is on the staircase of the Fez room. If any of you have been to the Fez, you'll recognize the wrought iron staircase. It was the beginning of a show, and I had a few moments with Sue, and D'Arcy is now the sole owner of the Oasis, and they were standing in front of me, and I was just like so bored, and they said, what's going on? I saw them was yawning. I said, this is such a boring image of just the two of you fooling around or whatever, and they said, what do you want us to do? So I said, I want you to fall down the stairs behind you. So within 2 minutes, they were tumbling down, pretending to tumble down the stairs.
That's beautiful.
It's one of my favorite photos. Yeah. This one here was taken in LA in 2015, and it was the very first DragCon.
Wow.
I would travel down with a group of friends from here to check it out, see what this DragCon thing was about with RuPaul. We were at the opening party and with RuPaul, and this man was sitting in the corner checking his makeup and his phone, and I went over and said hi and started chatting, and he turned out to be Mathu Andersen, and Mathu was one of the co-creators of Ru and many other people, and one of the world's finest makeup artists and stylists. And
oh, I can tell.
This is an incredible genius of a person. When I found out his history, it's one of my favorite photos again. This is a local queen here. This is Johnny Rocket. And Johnny, he's one of the producers of a show at the Eagle, which is called Rorschach, which is now in about its 8th year. This was taken just in the mirrors of a bar, again surrounded by chaos, and it looks like I shot it in a studio.
I hope you enjoyed this first look at Gooch's gallery. It was a little bit longer than I anticipated, so I had to split it into 2 halves, and I will be showing you the second half very shortly, so stay tuned. If you like what you saw and would like to join me on more adventures, please like and subscribe, and ring that bell in order to get notified when there are other new episodes. And thank you very much. Bye.